it's got to be good in some manner. Like, saying that competition isn't good is like saying that sports aren't good in general, you know, because like competition it's a sport essentially. Like if you're competing in CrossFit, it's, you know, it's a sport. People can definitely like, I think what I see the most when people are like frustrated at competition is because you get a ton of injured athletes or people who don't know how to scale, you know, like, and so they treat every single day like a competition, kind of like we were saying. Like if you drill every single day like you're trying to beat the hell out of your body, like you're gonna get broke, you know.
All right, everybody, welcome back. You're listening to the Verity Podcast, and we have Coach Charlie who's going to be on the show today. Charlie, what's your last name?
Schmid.
I did this with Allie too. I didn't prep the last names prior, so sorry about that.
Good.
I've also got Coach Monroe Miller on the show. Monroe, what's going on, pal?
Another day.
Yeah. So you two are rocking glorious facial hair fashion right now. I'm trying to. My wife wasn't partial to the whole mustache thing, so I've been like trying to slowly hide it.
I can see that
in the thing that I'm working with. I'll show you guys what I did last week, and it looks a lot better. But Monroe, first of all, before we dive into the show, talk to us. Why are we doing mustache stuff right now? What are we doing?
So this month is Movember. So I was actually really surprised at how many people jumped in to do this with us. Yeah.
Cool.
And it was really kind of last minute. Like I was just sick of the beard. And I saw a post about it, and I've heard about it. Oh, thanks, dude.
Well, I meant for me.
Oh, for you.
I was like a month in, and it was just itchy. It wasn't good.
Yeah, so, you know, and I started seeing ads, started seeing some other stuff, and, you know, it just looked like a good thing to jump into now that I'm, 16 workouts in, and it's already a third of the month is over. I'm a little nervous about the quantity of workouts that we're doing, but I think it'll be doable.
So for those who don't know, they're going through 60 workouts through the month of November. I think you have Kenta, and I think Jordan, last I talked to, is also doing this with you, that's a lot of volume. How's it feeling so far?
It feels fine.
Okay.
I think like the biggest thing when you're doing a lot of workouts like that, or a lot of volume in general, is like picking and choosing what you're going to do and how hard you're going to go at it. Like, I think you can work out every day, but like you shouldn't be
100%.
Like nose to the grindstone every day. Yeah,
okay.
That's just not good. So, you know, I think I got in a little bit of a mess when he started coming here and we started training together, because it was just like, you always got to beat Charlie. And Charlie's super competitive, if you don't know. And so, like, it became like, I noticed my recovery was going, like, it was really hard for me to recover. And it wasn't that I mean, I think part of it I wasn't eating enough, but a lot of it was I was just going so hard and just like trying to kill myself every single day.
Yeah.
So now, like, I've kind of dialed that back a little bit, and I feel great. I feel ready for this weekend, and yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's bring the guest into the show. Charlie Schmid. Am I saying that right?
That's right.
Charlie Schmid. Charlie, dude, for the people that don't know you or have just met you on the show, tell us a little bit about you, man. Like, you know, where are you from? How did you find Verity? Let's just start there.
Oh gosh. Originally from Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah, grew up just west of Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
And then after high school, I was out of there, and I haven't been back since, other than visits, but I haven't lived there.
How did you end up in Virginia?
Gosh. Oh, that's a long story.
Huh. Can you give us the synopsis of the story?
Yeah, so out of high school, I jumped into full-time missions, and that kind of brought me. I moved to Kansas City, was there for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Moved to Hawaii, was there for 3 years.
Oh, dang.
And then I met Nate Bramlett.
Yeah.
And that's originally how we got out here.
Okay.
You know, and so we've only been here for about 9 months now. 10 months.
That all makes sense, and I'm assuming that you met Nate through your mission work and everything like that as well.
Yeah, somewhat through mutual friends. You know, like I just kind of drove up here from North Carolina on a whim just to meet him, because I've never met him before, and we met him and then connected. He invited our family out here, so we invited our family out. We came out for like a athletes gathering out here.
Yep.
And my wife's the one who had like the big kind of confirmation that we felt like we were supposed to move out here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so after that, then we went back to Kona, back to Hawaii, packed up, and kind of moved out pretty much.
That's so cool. I like, so question about when you say like dove right into mission work right out of high school. Like that is not, when I was a junior, senior in high school, and it was like, what's the path you take? My dad was like, college, military, or like go get a job and figure it out in a couple years. I went the college route, then I tried the military route. But like, how did you just?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No. That's a great question, because I think probably 98% of the people from my high school probably went to college. But it was like, I made that decision, I think, when I was a sophomore in high school, you know, and that came after like I had an encounter with God, and it was like drastically changed my life, you know. And prior to that, it was like my life consumed around sports. I played baseball, I wrestled, played football, and like that's how I even got into like fitness in general, you know. But you know, kind of from that moment, I was like, okay, I got to do something with my life. I'm like, I'm going to jump into missions, you know. And like I'd kind of heard of people doing mission work, and I was kind of turned off by the church, and it's not like I love going to church or anything. I just like, I want to do something else other than just like go to college like the rest of people. And that's kind of what drew me. And so right out of high school, you know, I was like, I didn't give up sports, but I gave up pursuing it in college, which I probably could have. And so I jumped into missions from there. And that was like, it's been 6 years.
Huh. Have you done any mission work?
No, man. My journey in my faith is a lot different from Charlie's. You know, that's very interesting, Charlie, that you jumped into that stuff when you were at such a young age and were mature enough to be able to do something like that. I mean, your story kind of reminds me of Matty Niles' story as well, where, you know, at a young age, he met Nate, he came up here, jumped into mission work, and he was like 19. And, you know, when I was 17, 18 years old, you know, my journey in faith it was so different, man.
Yeah.
It was just very much, it was just going through the motions. And, you know, I went to church because I thought it was right. I believed stuff because basically my parents told me it was the right thing, right? But it wasn't like, I didn't discover that for myself, right? So to answer your question, Monroe, no, I haven't done anything like that to that extent by any means, right? And that's really, really cool there, Charlie. So how did you meet Nate? Did you guys did you figure out he did CrossFit and you're like, hey, let's race one day, or did you guys talk about the Lord and kind of go from there?
Yeah. So actually in Hawaii, I served with an organization out there called Respect the Corners, and their whole thing is training and sending coaches to different countries, you know, CrossFit coaches, and so they're pretty much giving people like an avenue into different countries, and they send people to, you know, the Middle East or to Asia or whatnot, you know. And so that was kind of my job. And then mutual friends, Nate had come out there before we moved out there, and I knew he was like a competitor, and so I've been wanting to compete for like since 2016. Just never felt like the opening, never felt like I had the time to, you know. And so we just kind of felt like after like the pandemic hit and like everything kind of shut down on the island, and we're like looking for a new avenue, and I was like, okay, maybe this is time to like compete, and maybe it's time to actually maybe take a step forward. And so we were on the mainland, and we were like, well, we ain't going back to Hawaii until we know what we're going to do, you know. And so one of the things that we knew we wanted to do while I was in the States was like, okay, I know of Nate, know he's a competitor, you know, and I know he loves the Lord, you know. And there was other people that we have mutual friends with like Jacob Hepner and Cody
Dude, I think there's a
Anderson.
lot of people in the CrossFit world who actually have pretty deep roots in faith and everything.
Yeah.
Like Cole Sager, Jake.
Oh yeah.
Rich. I mean, a lot of those guys do, which is I think that's very cool.
Yeah, and so that was kind of my draw to Nate, and that's literally I was trying to message him, and it was kind of hard to like get things to line up. We were like in North Carolina for like a week, and I was like, he wasn't messaging me back. I was like, all right, like maybe it's not supposed to happen, you know. And he messaged me, he's like, can you come up like tomorrow? And I was like, all right, coming up. So I stayed with him. I'm trying to think. I was only there for like 2 days. He invited me back like the next 2 weeks out. And then we flew our family out here, and yeah.
And the rest is history. Did you when you got here? Did you ever go back, or did you guys just go back to Hawaii that one time, bring your stuff over?
Yeah, it'll be a while probably before we go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's expensive to get over there.
Yeah, we went there for my honeymoon, and that was expensive, but that was a good time to go over there. Monroe, you've done some mission work there, like Dominican Republic, that area, right? That's close to your heart.
Yeah, I did a mission trip in Haiti. My mom.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was close. Caribbean somewhere.
My mom was part of like the medical missionaries. So she was a GI nurse. She'd been nursing for years, so she would do these mission trips every year, kind of with our church. There was some group that she connected with there, but and I went one year when I was like the summer after high school, and it was a great experience.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I don't quite know what mission, like when you say you're going into the mission work, like what.
Yeah.
That for me it was like a trip, and it was like I went to Haiti for a week. And I buried a pipe on the side of a mountain that these bad guys kept trying to steal. And then, like, one night we went to, like, literally the richest dudes on the island's house. And, like, they had this extravagant party with, like, all this stuff. And it was, like, it was really interesting to see, like, the disparity between the wealthy and the rich. Or, I'm sorry, the wealthy and the poor. But what is, I guess, what is it? Because you still do mission work? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
You're a full-time coach, but, like, what...
Yeah.
What did that look like being a missionary?
And it kind of probably depends on the organization that you serve. So we were in a organization called Youth with a Mission, which is like a non-denominational mission. It's got like 25,000 staff in 180 different countries. It's a bases all around the world. So and their main kind of like school or per se is like, they do like a 3-month training, and then they do like a 3-month mission, essentially. So I started with that and then went back to the base in Kansas City to help train people and then send them. And so that was kind of like mission. And then we went on other trips as well, but then like through the same organization, they have like in 2018, my wife and I did like a medical missions trip for like 2 months in Cambodia and Thailand.
Wow,
we
that's
brought
awesome.
our little 1.5-year-old at the time, which was...
How was that?
It was nuts.
I bet.
I mean, going on like other mission trips and stuff, and like going overseas as like a single, I was like, yeah, I can sleep on the concrete. Like, there's not many things that like make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like you're over there with the 1.5-year-old. It's like 105 degrees out, and it's like she was probably the happiest. And my wife was pregnant with our second.
Yeah, wow, man.
And it was so hot. And it was like it didn't matter. Like I couldn't tell like our 1.5-year-old like toughen up. Push through it. It was like now we need to find some air conditioning. Like we need to find some food because she's not eating. So it definitely brought like a different kind of perspective of like, okay, this is more real and less glamorous than when I was a single person. But we did. There's medical missions. They kind of have like, I think they kind of brand it in different ways. I could be wrong, but they have like mercy ministries, which is like you're going to like either like medical missions or like you're going to like build houses, drill a well or something like that, and then I don't even know the other ones, but essentially they're like I was a part of ones. We went to India for 3 months, and that was more like evangelistic like missions. Like we held lots of campaigns with thousands of people preached, and like I was part of this like strongman team. It was
Tell us about the strongman team,
my
Charlie.
Gosh. I mean, they're amazing. Not gonna lie, but I didn't feel strong. Like I was like weak and like vomiting half the time I was there. Like
what an experience.
I remember I went up on stage and I got off, and somebody was like, "Man, you just look so skinny up there," but I was like, but in comparison to the rest of the people there, it's like, they're all like John Cena, they think you're John Cena, and like I'm like,
that's too funny.
So, but yeah, just there was many different avenues, I think, to missions.
So, question about, you said you train coaches in Hawaii to send them over the world. Like, so is it it's not the CrossFit level 1, right?
No.
So it's like,
yeah.
is it some other type of certification, or was it just like education to inspire people to go and?
Yeah, a bit of both. So.
Because I know people are like so wrapped up about like certifications and all that stuff. Like, I don't think that's a whole nother topic for the podcast. But
yeah, I think if you're also going to like remote places in the world too, I'm not sure if somebody in Saudi Arabia is
gonna care.
You know what I mean? No, that's interesting. Anyway, sorry to cut you off, Charlie.
No, that's. I mean, we would like give people a certification because it's recognized around the world. We wouldn't give a certification, but we like push them to go get their L1. I think we had like 20-some L1 coaches at one time, and then they all went and got their L2s. And whether they moved off, like some of them go to the mainland or the States, some of them go overseas. It kind of really wherever they're led to go. Like a team went and started like another kind of base in South Africa. We had some guys in some Middle East countries that were just like coaching at boxes. So our training consisted of actually a lot of like practically how do you coach, because people would come in with like no coaching experience. They'd like come in and like how we all first started CrossFit. It's like you just like get addicted with one work and they're like, oh yeah, I want to be a coach. So it's kind of like taking them from ground zero to like, okay, this is how you lead a class and everything, and then they do their certs and everything, and then along with that it's like teaching them how to actually use the platform that you've been given to influence people around you. How to build relationship and whatnot, and we did a lot of that stuff on the island through competitions, and, we hosted competition, went to competition, we coached, like football on the island. We built a gym there, for one of like the pretty poor on the island. So, that was kind of all involved in the training, I would say. But the cert that we actually, there's no cert that we like certify ourselves,
How long was the course?
Let's see, they have, so you do like, if you hadn't done the first school that you do when you join the missions organization, it's like the 6-month thing, you had to do that essentially, but then their internship, or I think they call it something else because they can't call it an internship, which they have like a phase 1 and phase 2. Each is like 3 months, but they have staff there that have been staff for a long time. We were staff for 3 years there. But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's.
So through all the mission stuff, man, where did CrossFit come into play with this? Where did you find that? What was that experience like, dude?
Yeah, that's funny. Actually, let's see. I had already joined the mission work, and like I'd given up all hope on sports and everything, because I was like, they don't matter, all is like worthless or whatever, and they're huge. Like I was good at them, and pretty much stopped pursuing them, and I started to get a little bit, not like fat, but I was getting chunky. I was the heaviest I was. I was like 197, which I'm about a couple pounds less than that right now. But just a different shape.
Doughy 197.
Yeah, I was a doughy 197. I was working on like this global gym, but I'd go like maybe once or twice a week because I was by myself. And then there was like this basement in the dorm or area that I was staying in. There was like this basement closet, and I was like doing some mountain climbers in there one day. And now one of my best friends, he like comes in and he's got his L3 now, but he had like his L2, and he actually coached at Sanitas.
Oh yeah.
In Boulder, and knows Eric Rosa and stuff. But he goes in there, and it's so funny his perspective now. He's like, he calls me his CrossFit Jesus, because he's like, what are you doing in here? He's like, you should just come like work out with us in the morning, And it literally took like a day, and I was hooked. I was like, okay, I'm tired by myself. It hit like the stimulus that I got from wrestling of like dying,
Yeah.
And then Karen was my like initiation.
That was your intro?
That's my favorite workout now.
Really?
Well, because it took me 14 minutes when I first did it, and now it takes me like 4 or something.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. My first workout was Filthy 50.
Oh, that's even worse.
Oh yeah.
That's is there a good first workout out there?
I think that if your first workout is like a named workout, you have like kind of like this solidified vision of like, oh man, I did this freaking named workout. You know, people talk about doing Fran first, but you want to take a quick break and then?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, guys, jumping back in here. We're going back to where Charlie's at, or where he began rather with CrossFit. His first workout was Karen, which is, man, what a workout! It's a very interesting start to your CrossFit, your career. What year did you start, Charlie?
I think fall 2015.
Okay, so you're going little over 6 years here. That's solid, man. And you're such a good athlete. Today, you know, I think you're doing stuff today that I don't know if I'll ever do in my lifetime, which is super cool. What did it look like in the beginning? Were you doing, I don't know, 3 times a week, just kind of doing that stuff to be healthy, and kind of when did the bug like really kick in where you're like, man, I could do this all the time?
Gosh, I'm trying to think. Sorry.
I was going to say that a couple weeks ago you told me that the first time you squatted a barbell, you squatted like 360.
Yeah, okay,
So this guy,
that's impressive.
It's like Allie saying she just started CrossFit 3 months ago.
Do you think, did that translate like from wrestling? Where did that pure strength come from?
Partially genetics.
Okay.
I'm a freak, just so you know, guys.
Genetics, I think, play a pretty big role. I mean, obviously,
sure,
you have to put in the work too, but like you see people at the top of the sport, and it's like they're not like scrubs, you know, like they had, like, I know they worked hard to get there, but like they have some genes that a lot of people don't have. So.
If I'm squatting 365 on any given day, I'm super happy about it. That's very impressive. So I mean, is that literally like the first time that you were on a barbell trying to back squat like a 1 rep max, you hit 365, or was there like some stuff in there with like high school doing some weightlifting that kind of got you up to that point?
Let's see. I mean, weightlifting in high school was kind of a joke. You know, like I remember like I'd go on a bench and, you know, like, because we didn't have like a strength coach or anything.
Yeah.
And my like leg day would be I'd go and run. You know, like that was.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm working my legs. I'm going for a run. You know.
I remember that same sort of mentality with that thing.
Had no science behind it other than like I'm working my legs. I'm gonna run. You know.
Well,
like,
intuitively, it makes sense, right? They are moving, but you know when you think about a leg day.
So I don't remember. We might have squatted a little bit in football, for like, but I don't remember squatting. And if we were squatting, it definitely wasn't below parallel, you know.
Yeah. I don't think I went below parallel until like, you know, 2017 probably, which is, man, that's crazy to think about.
But I did clean. I remember my wrestling, he wrestled like D1, one of the coaches, and he had like this plan, and he showed me how to squat clean once. You know, I was like, what, you can squat? You know, and I think I squat clean like 235. That was like,
that's impressive.
The heaviest I got, you know.
In high school still.
But then I don't think I really like squatted pretty much anything. All I remember is like the first time, because we were in like this dungeon of a closet, you know, and my friend, he's got his like L2 or whatever, CrossFit coach, and we had like these our squat rack was like 2x4s, you know, cemented into like buckets or whatever.
Awesome.
You know, and I remember I think I hit 365 and he hit 355, and I was like, because we squat about the same, but that's another story. He's on some stuff.
Yeah, Charlie's a gamer. If you didn't know, Charlie is all about playing the game.
Yeah,
and that's what I enjoy about working out with him, but I also loathe it because he's slightly fitter than I am, and so it's all about that first round, and then I remember coming in a couple weeks ago, and there was what was it? Dips, maybe chest to bars, dumbbell snatch, and I was in there. I was in the afternoon, and you know, I got kind of precarious hours right now because of the way that I work.
Oh my God!
We did like 3 rounds as fast as we could, and then I was just like, no, and you just hung on somehow.
Yeah, but I was talking to Charlie about that because he was coaching in the afternoon. I was just in there to just basically try to get the conditioning piece in. I'm like, hey man, like, any advice or anything like that? Like, how'd you do? And he's like, you know, like, don't do what Monroe did. And I'm like, all right. And he goes on, he tells the story about how you guys were kind of neck and neck. You guys went out so fast. And I remember I went like I went sub 10 on that workout, and I was really proud of that. And then I looked at Charlie's time, and his was like, I don't know, 5:45. I mean, it was just stupid fast, really fast.
Contrasting what I said at the beginning of this podcast, where I think it's like valuable to have like chill days where you're just kind of focusing. I also think it is super important to have those days where like you hit that wall and you're like, oh man, this was such a bad idea. Why did I do that? Because it gives you perspective about, you know, what you're capable of and where that line is.
Exactly.
So.
There was that running rope climb devil's press. That's where I hit my wall. Because Monroe came out flying, and it worked for him that time.
It did work that time.
It got in my head a little bit,
Charlie
and I was like,
I
I didn't know until afterward, but like he on that second run, I mean, we got like maybe 4 rounds. It was the second run where I was like, I just couldn't catch up, but I hit that wall where I was like, that felt good. I mean, it sucked.
When you guys are going toe to toe, are you guys trying to play, you know, mental games with each other to be like, all right, if I go out really fast, maybe Charlie will follow me and then he'll fall off, or how does that go about?
I just know Charlie is gonna follow me, so it's like if I don't go as fast as I can. So yesterday, and like now we have these agreements where it's like, okay, so like this one is like, especially because we have this competition.
2 minutes flat.
It's like let's just cruise through this one. It's not a big deal. We did 400-meter sled drag, 400-meter run.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, we're jogging it. We get up to, like, a little uphill, and I start to trudge. Of course, Charlie just continues to jog with it for another, like, 100 feet. Just because he knew if he gets the sled to there, when 100 feet ahead of me, like, he's going to run the 400 faster than me. And it doesn't matter that it was, like, a chill wad, and we decided to say that before. So,
I don't think it matters if you had 2 people that, you know, would be at Gold's Gym. If you put 2 people side by side in a treadmill, they'll go faster naturally. Unless, like, there are definitely intent days. Yesterday was one of them, right? It was funny because Jordan was standing next to me, and I'm like, all right, my goal really here is to not get lapped by Jordan. And I was just like, I'm just going to go at my pace. And I went at my pace, and I did very well. And it was good. But I wasn't worried about anybody else around me. But unless you go in with that mentality, you're going to end up, like, racing each other and end up like that, which can be super fun.
Yeah, it is super fun. That's
you also
partly
gotta be
why you do have to be careful, yes. Or else you end up with a bum trap, you know, in the shoulder. But, I don't know. That's partly why I came to Verity. I mean, there are a lot of other reasons, but like,
what competition?
It's a competitive gym around here.
So
what,
you know, like, and you said, like, you were talking about doing competitions and, you know, like all that, and like so like as a gym owner, there's like in these gym owner Facebook groups that I'm a part of, like there's a lot of gym owners out there that hate competitors. They hate competitive culture.
That's a real thing, dude.
They hate like everything surrounding, like I've seen our competitors, gym competitors, like post things about how like competition is the wrong thing, but like there's so many positives that can come from healthy competition. And I think that as long as you handle it in the right way, and I think like talking to you and to Nate, you know, like Nate especially was like very adamant on like, oh, competition is like awesome. Like competition can bring people together. It can be like a really good thing and like a wonderful force in the community. So what do you think about competition? Like, is there a line there? Do you think, because you were playing competitive sports and then you kind of went to a point where you were like, this is not, or this is only self-serving, I guess.
Yeah. Gosh.
But now like you're doing a competition this weekend, and I talked to your wife, and she's like, I love watching Charlie compete. It's just
no way.
Yeah, she said that. So talk about.
I mean, I guess she tells me that.
Tell me about competition, Charlie. Tell me what you think.
Gosh, I mean, it's got to be good in some manner. Like, saying that competition isn't good is like saying that sports aren't good in general, you know, because like competition at it's a sport essentially. Like if you're competing in CrossFit, it's a sport. People can definitely like, I think what I see the most when people are like frustrated at competition is because you get a ton of injured athletes or people who don't know how to scale, you know, like, and so they treat every single day like a competition, kind of like we were saying. Like if you drill every single day like you're trying to beat the hell out of your body, like you're gonna get broken, you know. But I mean, there's so many goods it does. It brings people together. Like it gives people who are out of sports now like something to look forward to. You know, like, hey, I can train for something, even if they're not going to like win or whatnot. You know, and I mean, my goal for competing isn't necessarily like, I mean, I want to train to win. You know, but like, I don't have like lofty like podium goals or like.
Which I don't think you need. You
No.
know, I had this conversation with my wife where she's like, she's training a lot and she's getting fitter and she's loving it, and she's like having this like conversation with herself where she's like, why am I trying this hard? Like, it doesn't really matter. I'm like, no, it doesn't really matter, but it's fun, and like, this is your life, so like, what does it matter if you're doing 3 workouts a day? Like, if that's how you want to organize your life and that's what makes you happy. So how, I guess, when you're talking to people in class, like, how do you coach people so that they understand how to be competitive in a healthy way? Because there's definitely an unhealthy way where people, you know, start to cut corners and people start to, you know, like, they'll start to like mess with the movements and not squat all the way down, and then their knees hurt because they're not using a full depth. And it's just like, dude, if you just weren't trying to go as fast as you could, and you're just looking at trying to beat him. So where's that line where, I guess, at what point do you take someone and be like, all right, now's the time to push it, or, you know, it's okay to be super competitive, versus like, hey, you should probably dial it back and scale. Like, what do you do as a coach with that?
I mean, even the understanding, like, so even in my understanding, like, if I didn't have, like, I just said I didn't have goals, but like, if I didn't, like, if I'm not pushing towards actually competing, like, I want to compete in the sport. I don't have goals necessarily for the competition itself, but like, I want to compete in the sport. If I wasn't doing that, I would be training a bit differently, you know, in the sense of like, I'd probably still be competitive, you know, like, and push myself, but my volume would decrease for sure. You know, and so I think even for people is like realizing you're in it for the longevity, not for like the day, essentially.
Right.
You know, and it's like, even also like people start to cut corners, and you know, they start to do things because they like have to win.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's kind of getting people out of that mindset of like, you know, to the point of like, it's integrity in the way that you do a workout, but it's integrity in the way that you do life, essentially, too. Is like, I don't know, like, I totally agree. As an athlete, you know, it's like you can't be like satisfied with getting second, so you have to cut corners, you know, and it translates to the rest of your life as well, you know. But that's why CrossFit's just such an amazing way to like translate things. 'Cause people start to do hard things here, then they start to do hard things in their life, you know. And if they do it well here with integrity, you know, they start to do what they do in life well with integrity, you know. So it's trying to get kind of those bigger things, you know. It's really good to push yourself, like, and be competitive with yourself, because that translates so well, you know, outside of just the gym itself. But
and you speaking about integrity, that is something that I really admire about your character, and that I really think is super cool, is like how much integrity you have and how humble you are, yet how like ruthless you can be as a competitor. Like, that's really fun to see, and like really refreshing to be able to like have someone like that you can, you know, be really competitive with, but like, I never feel like you're like out to get me, and I never feel like, you know, oh, you're trying to cut corners to beat me or whatever, you know. And it's like, it doesn't need to be like that, it shouldn't be like that, and it like
I enjoy competing with you as well, and sorry.
And we have a competition coming up.
Did you have a question that you're going to ask me? Just going towards. I actually wanted to talk about the competition because we were talking about, you know, training and everything, and then we'll get into a little bit more maybe about coaching and his experience at the gym. You guys got Matt coming up. It's this weekend. What's going on? Charlie, why don't you start, man?
That might be a better question for Monroe. You know, I'm just following along. I'm tagging along. I'm ready. I feel fit. Our team is moving
where's
well.
it at? I ask you this question every time we talk about it on the podcast. But where's it at?
In
West
Maryland.
Friendship.
Okay.
Yeah, West Friendship, Maryland, at the Howard County Fairgrounds.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so Charlie says he's ready. He's going along for the ride here at Monroe. How do you feel about it?
I feel great. This is, I think, probably the fittest I've been in years. I feel primed, ready to go. I feel really, really sore from Tuesday, but I'll be all right by Saturday. But yeah, no, feeling really good. Like my engine is solid. My diet is on point. My sleep is pretty good.
All
Gotta get
cylinders
those kids out of my bed.
Cool.
But yeah, no, and I mean our team practice on Monday was excellent. Like everything was clicking. You know, super excited for the worm. Yeah, just ready for us to go and get it and like kind of move on to the next thing now, because it's been all this anticipation and all these practices and everything. So I'm really excited to show all the hard work that we put in. But yeah, definitely ready.
I'll be with you guys there in spirit. I got family in town,
That's
so
okay,
I'll be with them. But I'll be looking forward to us recapping it next week.
That's
We
okay.
should do that on the podcast. That would be good. So Charlie, transitioning over to just more coaching and stuff like that. How did you and Morel kind of get around to talking about coming over to Verity and doing some coaching here, pal?
Well, I've been training here for a couple months, I think, prior to coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And Monroe had approached me about coaching, and I coached at a couple other gyms as well. And honestly, I wasn't even looking, I think, to find another coaching job essentially.
Right.
But I just love the culture here,
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you
like best about the culture here?
Gosh, I'm trying to think, because as soon as I walked in the door, I know I wanted to be here. Which it's just inviting. People come and they have fun here. And it's it's a place that people actually want to be. It's people want to be in class.
I hope so.
Obviously they come into class, but then it's they're hanging out, they're hanging around.
Yeah.
It's it's a culture that I wanted to be a part of. So.
We got a lot of people that want to just kill themselves with fitness for no reason, which is kind of cool. I was in here the other day, and I think I was talking to Amy on the couch, and I look over, and there's I just look through the glass, and there's just all sorts of people just lifting heavy, doing GHD. I'm just there's a bunch of animals in there. So it's there are some times where I do feel like it is a very inviting environment, but there's also times where I feel because we do have a very hard work pays off kind of approach to things, I feel like that can kind of turn some people off, where I'll be honest, I think there's some people that want to have a gym membership just to say they have a gym membership, and they don't actually want a coach to be no, I expect you to come, and I expect you to get fitter, and there's a level of you can't just show up here and kind of half-ass it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's important.
Yeah.
But I appreciate those words.
Oh yeah, I think that's with every gym you probably go to. But I think I've worked at so many gyms and been a part of so many different gyms, and been to so many different ones, dropped in, and it's you can always just tell an atmosphere that's inviting, and it's and that people want to be there, and part of that is a little bit of the competitiveness, it's people like competing, they like being challenged and whatnot, being pushed, because it's other places been to, and it's just people don't want to be there, and honestly I think all that kind of relates back to the owner, which that's the thing I'll probably say as I even think about maybe possibly becoming a gym owner.
Yeah, we had talked about this.
But everything is kind of the owner sets the culture, and you and Morgan, even you guys can, everybody can tell how much you put into this community, and your community wants to be here because of what you put into it. It's other places that I've been, not saying that anything against owners, but it's athletes and, or what do you
members.
Members, yes. They feed off of that, Mm-hmm. So if the owner doesn't want to be there, if it's a second thing or just a hard thing for them to do, it's the members know it, they feel it, because they're and they don't want to be there too, Same with the coaches. The coaches carry the culture, but the culture is set by, I think, the owners. So I just noticed that as soon as you walk in this place, it's people want to be here because you want to pour into people, and you care, and
that's cool. I appreciate
and you
that.
can sense it.
And I do. I mean, and that's not something, like, I just can't turn that off.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know. Yeah, I can't turn it off. And Morgan, like, I didn't meet her like how you have met her. Like, she was not into fitness at all, not into, like, entrepreneurship, but, like...
Man, that's crazy.
And she is just, like, over the last couple of years, she has just taken and blossomed. And, like, this place is what it is because of her and me together.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I definitely feel for the, like, part-time gym owner, part-time has another job.
Yeah.
It's really hard for the members to not see fitness as a part-time thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I totally agree with that.
Man, where do you want to go from here, dude?
Closing thoughts?
I think we do it.
I was happy with everything.
Yeah, I was too. Closing thoughts there, guys. I'll go first here. Charlie, it's a pleasure to have you here, man. It really
Thank
is. You are a specimen that I can only ever dream of being in your shadow, basically. But it's good to have you at the gym
not all
here.
that fit.
I loved what you were talking about, with integrity and everything like that. And just hearing your story, man. Best of luck here at MAC. It's going to be a good time to hear how you guys do this weekend.
Thank you.
Monroe, you want to do that? And we'll have Charlie close this out.
Closing thoughts. Yeah, same. Super excited to have you. It's always interesting to... You're a very different person than a lot of the people in my normal life that I've met. Like, you have a lot of different life experiences, so I think that's really cool. And yeah, super happy to have you here on the coaching team with us. And super happy and excited for this weekend.
I know,
ready
me
to
too.
smash it and throw this worm around.
I'm ready. I'm like so excited. Even if we got smashed, like, which I mean,
We're not getting smashed.
we're not gonna get smashed, but like, I'm ready to go smash myself.
Yes.
Essentially, it's been a while since I've competed, so it'll be good.
What is your final word of wisdom for the people?
Oh gosh, I don't have a word of wisdom. I don't know.
No words of wisdom.
Just keep going.
Just keep going. When you feel like stopping, just keep going.
Keep going.
I think we could end on that. That'll be good. All right, you guys, if you guys are watching on YouTube here, if you guys could like the video, that would be great. And if you guys are listening on Apple Podcast here, we had to rebrand the whole thing. It's getting better, but if you guys could go down there and slap a 5-star review on there, we would surely appreciate it. Charlie Monroe, good luck this weekend, boys, and to the listeners out there. You're listening to the Verity Podcast. Thanks for stopping by.